Today I'm joined by Savannah White, one of the most versatile stylists and costume designers working today. She's worked across editorial, commercial, and film, styling musicians, athletes, and high-profile clients, helping them refine and define their personal style.
Thank you. That was a good intro, John.
Yeah, we try. Some of it's canned, but that's some original material. But kind of starting off with something simple, that I feel like you're appropriate person to answer. Do you feel that people are born with style, or is it something that they develop over time?
I've had this discussion with an editor at a lunch just in general or like having a level of taste. And I think I would have used to say that you either just have it or you don't, but I don't think that's the case, just based on my own personal taste level evolving. Like, if I looked back, I don't know, even 5 years ago, there are some things that I probably wore or decorated in my home that I wouldn't have now. So I think it can develop over time. If it's something that like you're curious about or want to like research or put time into, anybody can develop a level of taste or style. It's also, I guess, all subjective.
And so over time, everyone's style is evolving. And
yes.
Maybe asked a little bit differently, do you feel that some of them are naturally more stylish, and then in your experience, when you work with them, you're able to see that and or bring it out or work hand in hand with those people?
Yes. Even just people I know or I'm inspired by that get dressed every day, it feels very effortless for some people. And then they just looks like they just threw stuff on. It looks amazing. But anybody else, that would just take so much brain power to think about. And then, I think other people, it's probably why I'm in business, require a little bit more help to bring out a level of style and taste. But yes, I definitely think there are other people that are just gifted at having style.
And you as a stylist, and when you walk into a room for the first time to meet somebody, do you feel it's important to be clear to them that you yourself have unbelievable style and you understand the times, or do you intentionally kind of play it cool and middle of the road so that you're not the star and hopefully your client becomes the most important person in the room?
I feel like my own personal style is somewhat understated. Like, there's, been this whole term of like quiet luxury that flies around, but I've never been somebody that wears like excessive logos or branding. So I would say my style in general, probably walking in a room, is understated. So if I was with a client, would allow them to shine. I don't know that I'm being super intentional in doing so, but I don't know. And hopefully, I hope people think I have nice style.
You always look cool. You're cool. And you said to me that like you tend, if someone defined the way that you style people, just as a general statement, maybe the way they follow you on social, that it skews a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Do you feel that being in your realm that you have to carve out a niche that you really are known for, or do you feel that you're a little bit of a generalist and you just work with whoever's on the other side?
I think generalist. I also think that being versatile is like a skill that makes a good stylist, honestly, as somebody that can style across editorial, film, celebrity, commercial, personal clients, and be able to like take whatever aesthetic is thrown at them and style in that way. So no, I've never really like honed in or created like a niche thing for myself. I think it's been pretty general, and I also think that that's a skill set that most stylists should be able to have.
And over time, as your career evolves, right, you've been at this now 10 plus years on your own for more than that too. Is it important to kind of you yourself evolve, which in turn brings new types of clients to you, or you become a little bit a function of who your clients are and the work you do dictating the direction of the business?
I think it's important to evolve with like the times and how style, trends, everything is changing. I think it's important to be grounded and have a point of view, but I also think to be able to adapt and change, and also like to your clients' wants and needs as well. So I think it's always evolving and changing. It has to, as things are moving.
You had moved to New York you originally are not from New York. Maybe
Yes.
just touch on where in the U.S. you come from prior to being in the city, and just like what that journey was like and looked like.
I am from a tiny town in Arkansas. I feel like it's so random when you say that. You meet other people from the South, and it's like, I don't know, general places, but Arkansas feels random. But I'm from Arkansas. I grew up in a tiny town of like 2,000 people outside of Fayetteville, which might be the closest thing that people can correlate where like the major university is. I went to college, everything in Arkansas, and then I moved to New York after college. I interned for a summer doing fashion PR in New York. It was like, when it's encouraged to find an internship, and I just wanted to go to a city. I wasn't like necessarily seeking out fashion. My background and degree is in speech communications and marketing. I mean, in Arkansas, there's not really a massive creative scene. There might be now, but at the time there wasn't. So I came for the summer. I loved it. And then when I went back, I realized how small and limiting kind of Arkansas is for the opportunities I was seeking, and spent a couple months back and then moved for good. And that's kind of how I ended up back in New York.
And when you first had that internship 10 plus years ago,
Yeah.
right? What year did you move to New York? Or what was that first one?
2010.
And you showed up at an office of a New York fashion-oriented or PR company. Did you feel like you belonged, or it was a like eye-opening transitional moment for you?
I never felt like, if we're talking about like aesthetics or like my style, that I didn't belong. I think all of the things you anticipate about New York, like people are very assertive and like crass or mean, or, I think I was in anticipation of all of that. So when actually like my first internship, like my bosses weren't very pleasant, I just assumed those things were very a part of it. Yeah. And like over time realized maybe some of that wasn't so normal. But no, I never really felt like, I guess, my style or anything, I didn't, fit in.
Yeah, but were you like a person that was aware to see style in the office, to know that was even something that resonated with you?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely aware of that. I also felt like I wanted to dress really nice for the job, like the internship, and it was definitely not the role. It was so much manual labor and just like running errands for people. It was like the hottest summer in New York too, and I remember I'd wear like really nice like blouses, like white blouses, and my purse would like stain the shirt from like running around the city and just being hot and sweaty. So I think like I paid attention. I wanted to look nice. I wanted that to, be received by, I guess, my bosses and mentors. But that was the only thing that I was like definitely not prepared for. I was like running around as a glorified like bag lady.
And ultimately, you realized that world you were in day one was interesting, and maybe the industry was relevant. But then you quickly saw maybe a slightly adjusted path in the world of styling. Maybe talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, so my internship was in fashion PR. I realized really quickly I didn't have a desire to do anything PR related. So when I came back to New York, I got another internship working at a magazine in Marie Claire, just in the fashion closet, being an assistant there. And that appealed to me, maybe being like a fashion editor. At the time, I was like waiting tables at night. It was a free internship, and I was there for a long time and not having much success. Like, people don't really leave those roles once they get them. Like, editors is not like a big turnover rate. So I was like, what can I do? Like, I had this goal to at least get a paid job in fashion and quit waiting tables. So I started asking the stylists that they would bring in to style the covers and front of book stuff and the fashion stories. And at the time, that's when kind of e-commerce was really coming about. And they were like, companies like Net-a-Porter, Mr. Porter, Gilt Group, like the flash sites, all of these things, they're looking for, styling assistants. So then that's how I ended up doing that. And it was more so out of this necessity or like want to just at least start getting a paid job and an interest that I cared about and stop waiting tables. So that's kind of how the styling even started. Again, I wasn't necessarily seeking out styling gigs. I was just like, how do I get paid to work in fashion?
Where's the money?
Yeah. And so I ended up doing styling assisting in the e-com space for a year. Yeah.
and the waiting table experience,
Yep.
which everything's important
Yeah.
to one's journey. What skill do you feel like looking back and you reflect on your work history taught you bringing to kind of present day?
I always say this. I think that everybody should have a job in hospitality at one point or another. It builds like incredible people skills. You have to be able to like adapt and talk to anybody, to like manage the expectations of people, high stress environments, a level of emotional awareness. So I don't know. I always just stress
Right.
this. I think it's like so important
Do you think
to.
stylists make better waiters in terms of recommending dishes that one would like, right?
Yeah. Yes.
No, I'm
No.
kidding.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think anybody that comes from a hospitality background, like,
Right.
yeah,
Service is
is
service,
service
right?
is service. Exactly.
And in New York, obviously, the people that you work with today versus that you dealt with in your career, they're kind of all cut from similar cloths.
Totally.
So the new business started kind of post Net-a-Porter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously, to be on your own, you have to be somewhat of a business person to be successful. And so, obviously, took a bold move to come to New York. You demonstrated various forms of creativity. You're around the fashion industry. How do you even explain how you became, your own business person with limited experience?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, I don't, it's crazy to think about. I feel like I get asked, or I wish I could offer even like better advice for the path, but I do feel like mine was so like unconventional how I ended up here. I think I've always been really open to opportunities. I never pigeonholed myself into like one, like I'm going to be the best editorial stylist. I'm only going to work for these publications, or I'm only going to do this. And it's just allowed for my career to expand and become what it has. But I think, I didn't have a business, model or know what I was doing. I'm so insanely grateful that I've been able to maintain a freelance career for like almost 11 years now. And
when you started, right,
yeah,
freelance stylist,
right.
this term celebrity stylist, I
Yeah.
know gets thrown around. I asked you prior, do you consider yourself a celebrity stylist? Is that something in your case what's the moment when one would describe themselves as a celebrity stylist?
Maybe if that's solely what they're doing, or if that's what they're striving to do. Yes, I have celebrity clients, but I work on so much more aside from that. So I don't personally consider myself a celebrity stylist, but I do look at other people and I would categorize them as strictly being celebrity stylists. So it definitely is a thing. I would say you would define yourself that if that's primarily what you're doing.
And if you were giving advice to those out there that maybe are from Arkansas or other places, first time moving to New York, and they
Yeah.
want to be a stylist, kind of assessing this 10 or 15-year period for yourself, what do you feel like makes a good stylist?
I think one, having a very strong sense of like being able to storytell. So being able to convey, a narrative through clothing. I think strong attention to detail, knowledge of like references, fashion history, trends, when to use trends appropriately without being like trend dependent. Definitely what has helped me over time, which takes a lot of time to develop, but is a strong network and resourcefulness. So having connections to brands, designers, PR, showrooms, stores, being able to pull last minute clothing for someone, knowing where to pull things from last minute. So I think, and again, that all is just like requires time to develop those relationships and connections. But I think in having them is a massive tool to,
And
to your
having a good
success.
relationship can mean a lot of different things.
Yeah.
If we were meeting those in your network and I was
Right.
like, oh, I just had this interview with Savannah,
Yeah.
what would you want those that you work with, not your clients, but like your partners,
Right.
what do you think they'd say about you behind closed doors?
Well, so like for instance, big fashion houses, if you're pulling from like a Dior or a Prada for editorial, right? You want to be somebody that's responsible with your pools. You're getting things back in a timely manner. The condition in which it's returned to this house is appropriate, you know? So I think hopefully they think I'm reliable, responsible with their clothing. In that case, if we're talking about that.
And like you're pulling, again, not being from the direct world, you
Yeah.
know, you're pulling pieces. There's obviously a lot of pressure to provide enough variety for yourself or for the client so someone's happy in the end. But what's like best practices when you're doing an editorial shoot? Like, do you over prepare and bring more than enough just for, or you really trust your instincts to nail it on what is going to be a good fit?
I think people would say about me, I do a tight edit. I am not somebody that, and maybe that requires a level of confidence. I would say for personal clients, maybe I'll have a bit more just to, because sometimes that's harder to gauge. Editorial, though, I'm a tight edit person where some people have racks and racks of clothing. If I like know there's a vision or there's specific looks I absolutely love, I just stick with that.
And when you have a personal client, what do you feel it's a better client for you is someone that knows what they want or someone that really is like, Savannah, I'm just confused. There's so many options out there. Just make it easy and make me look good.
I would prefer for someone to know what they want, but also be open-minded to exploring style or being trusting of like my point of view as well. I think it's quite difficult if people can't articulate. Granted, you'll have new people come to you that are developing their style, they're unsure, but if they can even at least say, hey, I don't know what style I'm going for, but I love this person's style, or I at least like these brands, or I want to look like this. Being able to articulate, I think, is important because I can always execute on something if you have at least a decent understanding.
And what if the understanding is mismatched? If I said I want to look like, you know, a European fashionista type person, and you just know in your heart of hearts that that's not the direction I should be going, how do you strike that balance so you don't, you know, piss people
Yeah,
off,
right.
but you at least hear them out a little bit?
I mean, I'm frustrated behind closed doors, but no, I don't know. I think you would gently pull things that are in another direction. That's hard because I feel like I have had clients like that, and that can be really frustrating, right? It's like contradicting like what they're saying versus then what they end up wearing, and you're like, oh my God. So I think I always like to be mindful and hear people's notes of what they want. So I will have things on the rack of what they're saying, but then I'm also going to pull in a direction of what I think maybe they actually do want, and hoping you're striking that balance or landing somewhere in between.
And like the validation that you as a professional want, for you is validation your clients just coming back to you and saying, Savannah, I felt good? Or is it more about your clients saying, my significant other or that meeting or that conference or that event I attended, everyone, what does validation look like in your space?
I think more so from them. Like, you obviously want whoever it is to feel great and confident in what they're wearing. I feel like, what is the objective, though? Sometimes a client might want to be establishing relationships with certain brands. So if we were able to pull that brand and they wore it and the brand's excited as well, that's validation. But mainly, I feel like it's a personal relationship between whoever you're dressing. Yes, it's great if they get great press and publications thinks it's wonderful too. But I think as long as they feel great or whatever the objective or goal was and what we were styling is accomplished, for me, I feel good about my job.
And with social media, obviously, you as a partner to these people in their style, do you have a tendency to read the comments when they're doing something, you know, when their look is put forward in the public realm?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not,
What's the best comment that you would want to see on somebody, right? You style them for the Oscars, right? A dream red carpet moment. What's that like one comment from the public that you'd be like, wow, we really nailed it?
I don't know. I mean, anything that you would deam as like a nice affirmation.
You look good. You look good.
You
is
look
good
great.
enough.
If there was a reference, if someone gets the reference, that's always really nice. But yes, I definitely read and don't think that I could be someone public facing because people are brutal.
You know, as a parent, I hear from the younger generation that when they go to a party and they're wearing a dress or an outfit, they can't wear it multiple times, right? Like kids now are conscious of what they're putting. If they're putting everything on social, the range of outfits that they have to put out there, there's an art or a science to it. How do you even work with a client in 2025 to deal with that, either social pressure or public perception that they're worried about, so to say?
Because again, you're like, how sustainable is something like that too? Because as much as I think you're right that there is that pressure, there are also people that are being more conscious about their purchases now. So I think having a base wardrobe of essentials, like if it's a pant that can be repurposed, that aren't like super recognizable, and you're only maybe buying like a statement piece.
Well,
Here or
when
there,
you
you
think
know?
about staples, even
Yeah.
touch on that. You're working with someone; they're kind of new to fashion and
Right.
caring more than they used to.
Mm-hmm.
What are like staple pieces that you are like, we just got to start there, male or female? You could touch on that.
I think maybe a couple jeans that feel great in a couple different washes, trousers of some kind, crew neck t-shirts, button-up shirts. Like, I'm just thinking of essentials, a good blazer, maybe another good outerwear piece, basic footwear, a loafer, a good sneaker, a heel for a woman, maybe a boot for a guy. Like, just having those things that you can really mix and match with more bold pieces. I think everybody should maybe have in their closet. Or if you're just even looking at your wardrobe and you realize, like, for me, I wear a baggy trouser every day. I'm willing to then go find which one I love and whether invest in it, to have it. And then that's just kind of the thing that I'm wearing. It just makes it easier. I don't want to have to spend a lot of time. It should be fun. I don't think we should spend all of this time and like stressing ourselves out over dressing. Make it more simple for yourself.
And speaking of just baggy outfits, like I remember growing up, looking back, I look at these pictures, I'm like, I look so weird. That was so baggy 25, 30 years ago.
Right.
It's interesting that baggy's back. What are some of the trends that you feel like we're either are on the next frontier or that are out there today that you just are like really into and are happy to see?
I think everything kind of, there's like a resurge of everything. Everything comes back around. I think right now, I do like that people are being a bit more in the same regard. I was going to say a bad trend is like kind of contradicts that, but I do think there is a level of people dressing like in a more quiet kind of way with like essentials, just like timeless pieces. I think that's nice to see. Again, it's like classic, never goes out. There's kind of like this boho chic moment that's coming back. I don't know that it's for me, but I like it for certain clients and for people. But again, I feel like that resurges every few years. Everything kind of always has this moment.
And are there things that you see that have their moment, but there'll be no second moment for it?
Yeah, most things I can give a chance to, or I like to see kind of come back. Like 90s came back. Like you said, the baggy era came back. I really enjoy that. I wear a lot of things that are oversized, but I think excessive logos and branding have come back. Like this kind of Y2K, early 2000s has kind of been resurging for, I would say, a couple years now. And I just don't think it's aged well. Like the Von Dutch, the Juicy Couture, this like True Religion moment. Like I wore it. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's aged well. And it's kind of come back. And I personally can't wrap my head around that trend.
And, where trends come from, I always feel like I ask friends in fashion where they're going, and they're talking about a year out fashion show, and
Yeah.
Trends are set so far in advance.
Right.
The traditional way those trends are set, right, where you have different periods being forward facing, mixed with like social media, right?
Right.
Do you feel like there are some trends that are set that you'll see in the market a year from now versus others that just out of nowhere come up because social media and celebrities are wearing some crazy thing and it just overnight becomes a sensation?
I think it's a mix of both, or if it feels overnight, it probably wasn't. We're just like being put onto it or someone's discovered somebody. But I think, yeah, the old way of trend reporting or having people that actually, do that for a living, for companies and designers and stuff now, I think with the access we have to social media and people living in random places, like we could see a girl living in Ohio, that just has sick style and she's doing something interesting. And then all of a sudden that, takes hold and everybody's dressing that way. So I think it's a combination, of
And
both.
speaking like from the perspective originally from Arkansas, and there's many cities in America and many people that can relate to that. They're sitting in the middle of the country, not New York City.
Right.
Do you feel like it's easier than ever for them to understand what's happening in the big cities and kind of stylize themselves in a way that reflects the trends that are out there? Or it's still very hard when you're not in, on main and main of America or of the world, Paris, London, et cetera, LA, to be able to kind of perform at the highest levels and coolness factor of style?
No, I think it's definitely a lot more accessible. Because, for instance, I even said, right, like even being in college in Arkansas, I didn't know that styling was a job, like that you could make money doing that. So I think in the same regard, if people have access or control over the accounts and things they're following, if they care about it, they can keep up. Maybe they don't have access to a store in Soho, that they can walk down the street, but you can order online, you can get things to your doorstep. So yeah, I do think it's a lot more accessible to keep up with what is happening in larger cities.
And it puts even, more good pressure on
Yeah.
people like you to know that you're not just speaking to a local audience.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm sure when you go back home and visit your family or, it's eye-opening on one sense because it is so much different than New York.
Yeah.
But there's probably elements you see now that you didn't see 10 or 15 years ago when you would revisit.
Totally. Especially with younger generations, I feel like.
You work with a lot of celebrities and others. How do you kind of perform your service when how do you cater to the celebrity clientele? What are best practices on that front?
Well, it depends, I guess, on what, I don't know, medium, what their career and job is. So working with a music artist versus an athlete, for instance, it's a very different process. But I will say this, most of the time when I guess the beginning process when I work with somebody a lot of the time is to gain an understanding of what they're into. We usually put together, silly or not, like a Pinterest board that we can both have access to. And I'm like, just drop things in here that you're into. I can gain an understanding. I'll add things. You can let me know if this is even like your vibe, just so I can get a gauge of where they're at. So it usually starts with some larger discussion of where they're at, what the goals are, for the need of having a stylist, and then we kind of go from there. I will say, usually, it used to deter me a little bit, but like sometimes I also feel like the first fitting you have with somebody can be a little rocky usually because you're also still getting to learn somebody, their body type, what they actually, do like in person. So, and then from there, I feel like a dynamic is kind of formed in way in which you work with people. And celebrities' demands are a lot different. I have some really laid-back clients. I'll go in, I'll style out the whole month for them, put a PDF, here's what you wear this day, blah, blah, blah. It's in their closet, and that's that. Some I'm styling per every event, It's more thoughtful. I'm dealing with stage and lighting, hair and makeup to create an overall look. So, I don't know. It depends on the client, but there's a lot of different components. But I will say the common thread against all is having this larger conversation in the beginning to even see if it kind of is the right fit for myself and whoever that celebrity or client is.
Your kind of exchange with them, do you prefer, is it like contact me anytime when you have questions or you have ideas and keep it fluid on the ongoing relationship?
Usually we'll text like that. So I'll be like, if you find inspiration or you see something on Instagram, or sometimes if they're putting on an outfit and need to quickly FaceTime me, to show me, or if they're like, I feel like I want to switch the shoe. Yeah. I mean, I feel very lucky that most of my clients are respectful and wonderful, so I don't think they're not hitting me up at crazy hours. But I think it's open dialogue, and again, as we say, things evolve. It's nice to just see where their head's at and what they want to try and explore.
We earlier touched on the Oscars. We're shooting this. This is a new segment where we call it Oscar predictions. It's the first one we've ever done. But Today is Tuesday, the last week in February. The Oscars are taking place this Sunday night. I think it's March 2nd. One question I have, and then I'm going to let you jump in. What is it as a stylist that works with a celebrity? What's the worst possible thing that could happen stylizing someone for the Oscars? What are I'll give you mine. Do you want me to start with what I think could be the worst,
Yeah.
and I'll let you? How do they prevent two people wearing the same outfit? Is that like do you guys talk? Is there you just know you pull a piece that it's a one of a kind? Is
Yeah.
that the safest way to do it?
Usually, I think in those instances, people are pulling one off, if not custom looks.
Okay.
So that would
All
rarely
right.
happen.
I asked as a non-fashion expert.
But that would be horrible,
right?
if that happened. But no, most of the time they're wearing one off.
So we're going to do, this is more of a prediction session. What do you feel like this weekend? What do you expect to see that we'll be able to determine after March 2nd
and see if I'm
how
right?
good your predictions are? What are you expecting for the Oscars this year as just general look themes?
I think for the Oscars, and I think it makes a lot of sense, there's going to be like a return to old Hollywood glam. I think sophisticated, like elegance, timeless kind of pieces. Maybe there'll be some bold color pops. I think there's going to be a lot of like homage paid to like the golden age of cinema, which I think makes a lot of sense for the Oscars. It's like, I don't know, the biggest night in Hollywood, I feel like. So I think a lot of old Hollywood glam, very sophisticated, beautiful, timeless, elegant pieces. What we've been seeing, which I think is interesting, is this idea around like method styling, which like Zendaya did for her role in Challengers, Ariana and Cynthia did for their roles in Wicked, Timothée Chalamet has been doing for his latest role in Bob Dylan. So they kind of, are wearing outfits to pay tribute to their characters in the film, which I think has been really fun to watch because a lot of the research that has to go into that, I think particularly Timothée Chalamet's stylist has done such a wonderful job of recreating a lot of Bob Dylan's iconic looks. So I think we might see some of that. He just did it at the SAG Awards and redid a look. So maybe some of that, and I think a lot of kind of old Hollywood.
And what would
glam.
make this year more appropriate? What's happening that old Hollywood would be a relevant potentially design theme or style theme this year? What is it about? Is it a function of where we're at as a world, as America, as society? What kind of drives that direction?
I don't know. Maybe there's this want for nostalgia, I think, and that is coming through. But I think in the same way that people are doing method styling, right? It's, again, paying tribute to older looks and bringing stuff that are out that are archival. So I think it's, again, maybe this want and desire for nostalgia that I think is going to draw that out in a lot of the looks.
Okay, we will see.
We'll see.
This
Let's
is
hope.
dated and marked. You want to go with one more? Give us one more, smaller one.
I don't know. I really feel like the men have
Who do you
been.
think's going to look the best this year? If you're able to answer that.
I don't know if there's a specific male. I think Coleman Domingo's been looking incredible. Adrian Brody's looked really great. I think the men have really been bringing it.
Okay.
So I think the men are going to look incredible, and I also think they've been taking a lot of bold choices. I mean, shout out to the stylist. I think they've been really stepping it up. Maybe there'll be some fun tux colors, maybe some bold choices with color. But I think the men are going to stand out. I think we'll be, impressed with a lot of men's outfits.
I do have a funny colored tuxedo story that I've never shared.
Do you want to share it?
I'll share it. It's fine. We may edit this out. But I bought a navy tuxedo when I got married. Okay?
Are you saying this is bold color choice?
No. But the photographer definitely thought there was a camera problem. And we found out when we were
because they thought it was black.
They thought it was black. They thought there was a color correction issue. So he edited everything to be black.
Oh my
and
God.
told us. So forewarning to all
That's
make
a
sure
good
you
story.
tell your photographer when you
That
go
you're like,
color.
no, this was a
At least
choice.
with navy and black are colors that look similar.
And you said this was a choice.
All right. So we have a section of the podcast that we call the Rocket Round.
Okay.
So this is kind of just quick hit, back and forth. You could pass on any question. You could come back to it, completely free flowing. All right, you ready? If you could only wear one designer for life, who would it be?
Prada.
Why is that?
I just think she's it. I mean, I don't think there needs to be.
Okay, that's fine. A trend you wish would make a comeback?
I don't know. I don't know that they're a trend I wish would make a comeback.
Or something you'd like to see. You mentioned the 2000s and how you
That-
felt
how I
about the
don't
big
want
logos.
that.
So maybe that was, we'll use that one. You wish that hadn't made a comeback.
Yeah,
Okay? I'll answer
The
it for you.
Y2K we wish wouldn't have.
How about a trend that needs to die forever?
Honestly, maybe that one. I just don't think it's aged well. I really want to wrap my head around it. I've tried. I really have tried, but it's not. I don't get it.
Okay. How about this one? What's your go-to everyday outfit?
A baggy trouser, pant, and probably a button-up shirt. Yeah, pretty much what I meant. It's like my go-to. Some variation
it's
of
a trick
this.
question. It's a trick question. Basically, Savannah, this is how she
You
rolls.
can confirm.
This is how
You've
she
seen
rolls.
me enough that this is probably
All
it.
right. You love traveling, right?
Yeah.
So when you travel, what's the best city for you for inspiration?
You know where I love, and I had made a rule for a while that there's so many places I haven't been and want to see that I wouldn't go back to somewhere until I, checked off another place. I really love Mexico City a lot. I don't know why. Maybe that doesn't sound that exciting to other people. I love Mexico City. I love Portugal, Lisbon in particular is great. Japan, come on. Insane style, fun. I want to go back. I absolutely love Japan. There's so much of it I haven't seen, but just in general, Tokyo, I absolutely loved. And the shopping's incredible there. The style's insane. Vintage is incredible. I just gave you 3. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That makes up for the others. You wouldn't want to go to Japan for Y2K for the reunion.
No, there's so much others. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Stuff, though. You can check
All
it.
right. How about the best career advice you've ever received?
Under promise, over deliver.
We'll hold you to that. How about what's one design element or aesthetic that you're obsessed with right now?
One design element or aesthetic. I don't know. Maybe like this whole, and call it boring, but I like a minimal, tailored look right now. It feels easy and effortless to me. And I think that's, again, how fashion should feel.
How about last one? What's the biggest fashion myth that people believe?
That I think that brown or black and navy can't live together. I pair those together. I think that's a weird one that people still stick to. Maybe the whole, what is it, white after Labor Day? Do people still follow that? These are crazy trends. Or myths.
Yeah, I did ask yesterday. I'm buying ski clothing.
I
and
think
my
you
wife
can wear
sent
white
me
whenever you want to wear white.
black pants, obviously.
Yeah.
And she sent me I like navy. So I said navy jacket first. Yes, get the pants. She goes, you sure you want black and navy? She goes, wait, you want to wear all
I think it's
black?
so fine
I said,
to
so I sent
mix
it to
those
my
colors.
friends at ski to ask them, what am I going to, can you please confirm I'm not going to look like I'm from the 1980s
Yeah.
getting back on the slopes?
No.
All right, so we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
All right, thanks for making the time. We'll hopefully do a V2. We'll do a look back on the predictions anyway.
Let's hope. I'm right.
And so that's a wrap. Thanks, Savannah.
Thank you.